It's not a day that goes by that I won't remember. May 14th, Robbie's family, my family, has been permanently damaged. On that day, this terrorist made the choice that the value of a Black human meant nothing to him. You have made me sick. You got my family crying. I miss my sister every day. Don't do it!
I did a terrible thing that day. I shot and killed people because they were Black.
You have to live with this one, bro. Just as I have to live with this every day.
Even with all of the heartache that you have caused, you still have failed to break our family spirit. You thought you broke us, but you awoke us.
There is no place for you or your ignorant, hateful, and evil ideologies in a civilized society. You will never see the light of day as a free man ever again.
Neighborhoods and take people out. Don't do it!
Emotions boiling over in Erie County Court today. A man who lost a loved one on 5/14 charging after the confessed top shooter just before sentencing today. Good evening. I'm Leah Lando. We are live outside the courthouse this evening with the very latest on what happened just behind me. This morning, the top shooter, Peyton Gendron, learning he will never be a free man again. As the judge said, he will never see the light of day as a free man again. A judge handing down the harshest sentence possible for the murder of 10 innocent people, and it happened 9 months ago in our community. Gendron receiving life in prison without parole on account of domestic terrorism motivated by hate. He also got a life sentence on each of the 10 counts of first-degree murder. On top of that, he received 25 years for each of the 3 counts of attempted murder and 15 years for criminal possession of a weapon. Today, the families of the Jefferson 10 also addressing the gunman directly for the first time. They represented the men and women who were taken from us on May 14th, as well as 3 people who were shot but survived. Gendron sat in silence as more than a dozen people told him about the lasting impacts his actions have had on their lives. And after they spoke, he offered an apology, speaking briefly about how he says he believed what he read online and acted out of hate. Take a listen.
I'm very sorry for all the pain I forced the victims and their families to suffer through. I'm very sorry for stealing the lives of your loved ones. I cannot express how much I regret all the decisions I made leading up to my actions on May 14th. I did a terrible thing that day. I shot and killed people because they were Black. Looking back now, I can't believe I actually did it. I believed what I read online and acted out of hate. I know I can't take it back, but I wish I could. And I don't want anyone to be inspired by me and what I did.
Well, just after today's sentencing, we heard from both Gendron's attorney as well as prosecutors and city leaders. They say justice was served today, but there is a lot more work that needs to be done.
What we heard in court today from the survivors and their families was heart-wrenching. Their loss is unimaginable. For the devastation he caused, Peyton Gendron was sentenced to spend the rest of his life in prison with no possibility of release. Our client committed these terrible crimes. He is responsible for his actions. He has been held accountable and will suffer the consequences for what he did.
I anticipate that the reason why he said what he said today was to save his life in federal court. You know, as a prosecutor, I always, listen to the victims of crimes and get their input. But at the end of the day, it is the prosecutor's decision on whether or not to take a plea, do something at trial, or recommend a sentencing. You know, I know the decision-making authority is not going to happen here in Buffalo. It'll happen in Washington, D.C. at the Department of Justice main building.
Now, the defendant had the option to appeal today's sentencing, but his lawyer announcing they will not do that. So the case now moving to federal court, where it could take months to decide his ultimate fate. Meanwhile, District Attorney Flynn says Gendron will be transferred to a federal facility for pretrial confinement if he doesn't get the death penalty. Once that case is decided, then a decision will be made about whether he will spend the rest of his life at a state or federal prison.